with weddings, it's really important that you've got good basic photography skills. Like you can do all the basics really, really well, and that you understand the processes of the wedding day that you're shooting. Okay, I'm just going to take you through a few photos in Lightroom, just from this one wedding, just so you can see what I mean. So for instance here, first picture, it's important. This is what you got to understand is instead of trying to make things like really interesting just from your editing, you have to make sure that you've got nice moments, you've got nice composition. So this moment between the two of them looks nice, so it's going to make a good photograph. So the editing then should be easy. So I've got my wedding presets, I've got my black and white one and my color one. So all I have to do is hit color, maybe I'll brighten up the exposure just slightly, and that's it, done. Okay. And then I've got my next photo here and the one after that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along here and just go to the one where I was at, which I've edited, press shift on the keyboard and highlight the next actually three even. I'll press synchronize and I can even hit exposure and white balance. Make sure all these things are ticked. You probably don't want local adjustments on. You can switch that off. Don't want crop. And white balance I'll leave, but I'll tick all the other boxes. It's just what you're going to sync. So I'll synchronize these and I'll make any adjustments I need to. So now I've got the next photo. I'm just going to bring the exposure down on this one a bit, and then I'll take my crop and just level it up slightly. That's fine. Then I'll come on to the next picture. That looks pretty much good to go as it is. I might drop the exposure just a tiny bit. Yeah. And then my next one, and I'm going to drop the exposure on this one a bit as well, and I'll just up the black point slightly and increase the warmth a little bit because it looks a little bit like it needs warming up. Maybe we crop this slightly too, just because they're getting a little bit lost in there. Just crop it, done. Okay, so let's look at this picture here, slightly different, facing away, hit the color preset, warm it up, done. Previous, done. Getting the idea with that. So let's have a look at this from the dance. So this is lit. The way I do these pictures like this is I expose for the background. So I'm looking at these lights in the background when I set my exposure manually in the camera. And then my flash is on camera flash, but I bounce it. So it's bounced off a wall. Sometimes I'll put lights onto light stands. Sometimes, like this light you see up here at the top is actually from the DJ's lighting, so I'm using that as a backlight. I'm positioning myself away. I don't want to be part of the audience. I want to see the audience in the background, so I put myself on the other side, and then I just manually control the flash and I bounce it off a white surface. So you see how they've got these white wall things in the background here. I'm aiming it at those, and then I'm just bouncing the light off it. And then what I do is I make sure that it's not too high. The power's lower down. And by using bounce flash, you get this really soft light that looks like closer to natural light because the light's spreading out so much. And it gives you that. So this is what I was saying before about understanding your lighting, knowing how to use flash properly, getting it right in camera. I mean, I could deliver this as it is, but I still put my spin on it. I'm going to warm up my preset a bit here because it's like too cold in color. Yeah, something like this. And maybe I'll push the whites up slightly just to bring some of that contrast back in. And again, that picture's done. So this is how I'm sort of work through my through the wedding day. So even with a picture like this might take a little bit more work. Because it's got some haze in the camera. And if you want to know what this was shot with, this is all shot on a D600 with an 85mm 1.8G lens, and the aperture is mostly at 2.2. I just like it at that kind of point on that lens. I think it's a really, really good lens. And if you're going to get an 85 for Nikon, my suggestion to you is to get the 85 1.8G. So I'm going to hit color. I'm going to brighten up the whites a bit because we want to have some of that contrast. Pull down the highlights a little. I'm just going to cool it off and see how that goes. Add a little bit of magenta. Because you see when green creeps in, do you see how it starts to look a bit tea stained? Like that. When we push the magenta tint over slightly, then we retain some of those whites back again. And that's it. So that's how I work through the wedding day. I just go through every photo. It's basically just this. This is all I do. I just go through the entire day. Nothing changes. There's nothing special about the ceremony or, you know, the getting ready or anything like that. It's just the same thing over and over again, just those white balance changes. So once I've gone through all of my pictures, what I'll then do is I'll go through and use my black and white preset on them. Now they'll already be cropped, but I might have to make some changes to the black and whites. So I've exported all my color pictures, and then I'll do the black and whites and export those. And I give all the pictures in color and black and white, because if you give them in just, if you pick, for instance, and you say, oh, this one looks better in black and white, you can guarantee the couple will always come back to you and say, please, can we have it in color as well? And it's easier to just give them everything in color and black and white. And when you sit down and talk with couples, that tends to be what they want. They want to have that in the first place. And exposure, come into a picture like this, let's hit the black and white preset. You see, it's nice and simple, really. That's all I'm doing, is just going through. Pick some of these pictures that we edited before, and I'll hit black and white, put it down, and it looks nice. It's just got a slightly more faded look, but I find that this works in a good variety of situations for black and white. If I was crushing the dark areas too much, there'd be too many photos that it wouldn't work on. And I wanted my presets to be very, very general, that they would work on everything. They're not strong enough to not work in certain areas, if that makes sense. Because if you have presets that are really strong, you can find that there's certain situations in which they're not necessarily ideal. And that's it, really. I just go through, and it's very, very fast. So if you like these presets, you can purchase them from the link in the description. I've kept the price low. It's only 2 presets because that's actually all I use. I didn't want to bump up the preset pack and give you stuff that I don't actually use. This is what I do. These are the presets that I actually use. And if I made more than this and started adding on, 10 different presets, in this instance for weddings, that wouldn't be authentic, because it's not what I actually do. These are the only 2 presets that I actually use. This is how I actually work. If you've got any questions or any feedback, or you want to know anything, just drop me a comment. Subscribe and a thumbs up would be great if you found this useful. And take care. See you in the next video. Bye bye.